just allow me 30 seconds to come home. Mr. Speaker, what I'm just saying is that, is it a precedent that when a cabinet secretary or any other witness would want to appear before the committee or the House, and you have invited them at 10, they can call the committee chair or the speaker and tell them, can I appear at 12? So my concern is the president, because the moment we allow this to slide, and you know it is in the answer, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can I conclude? Can I conclude 30 seconds only?
You have already concluded.
So, Mr. Speaker, I
I've
needed...
heard you very well, Senator Chalgay. I've heard you very well. This matter was well canvassed and the ruling was made by the chair. So let us not waste more time. So I asked Senator Mutinda to ask the question. What is happening, Senator Mutinda? Senator Charega, I don't need any assistance as at now. Maybe on another matter, but not on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And without wasting time, because I think we're behind time, on behalf of the Senate of Kirinyaga County, I will ask the question that he had posed to the Cabinet Secretary. And before that, Mr. Speaker, allow me to really appreciate Madam CS for finding time. I know she's always on a busy schedule, but as long as we are here, we can execute. The first question...
Sorry, let us clean up the process. So, clean out the Honda.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
So, the CS for Gender Culture, welcome to the Senate.
Thank you.
I understand this is your maiden appearance, so feel free. Senators are very good people, so as long as you are here, they were a bit agitated in the morning, but now they are relaxed. So welcome to the Senate, and feel free to answer the issues that the senators have. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as I repeat, on behalf of the Senator of Kirinyaga County, Senator James Murango, to the CS, the question was, are there plans by the government to establish a public library in Kirinyaga County? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary clarify whether budgetary allocations for the same will be made in this financial year 2024-2025? That's the first question.
Both questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The second question, Madam CS, what actions is the government taking to ensure the establishment of public libraries in all counties where there is none?
Honorable CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker and honorable senators, from the onset, I convey my deepest apologies for the late appearance before this honorable House due to circumstances beyond my control. My earlier request for deferral of my appearance before you, Mr. Speaker, were based on exigencies of duty on 2 occasions and on medical grounds on another occasion. Mr. Speaker, for each of these requests for deferral, I attach the supporting documents, and that's notwithstanding, I do here wish to respond to the question raised by Senator Mutinda on behalf of the Senator for Kirinyaga, Honorable James Murango. Mr. Speaker, that there are plans by the government to establish a public library in Kirinyaga County, and if so, whether budgetary allocations for the same will be made in the financial year 2024-2025. And the second one, action is being taken by the national government to ensure establishment of public libraries in all counties where there is none. Mr. Speaker, my response is as follows. There are no plans to establish libraries in counties since the function of libraries was devolved to county government as per the 2010 Constitution of Kenya, and in particular, public libraries. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is that for both the two questions, both A and B? Yes, Senator Mutinda, do you have any supplementary question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of Senator Murango. Mr. Speaker, I sit in finance budget and I'm the vice chair. And the issue of the libraries are issues that as a committee we've really embarked on. Yes, especially the 33 counties that I have. We have the issue of the 425 million that is still pending to be submitted to these counties. And we have employees and staff that have not received, their remunerations and salaries because of lack of disbursement of these funds. So when Madam CS, you clearly indicate that it is not the function of, or it's not the function in your ministry, then it leaves a lot to be desired. It's not really a fulfilling question from where I sit, and we would request for much more of a detailed answer because it's a bit shallow, because the 33 counties that are beneficiaries of the libraries really are keen to await the feedback. And to be more specific, of course, the county of Kirinyaga, where the senator represents, the county of Nairobi also, and among other counties, that it's still not so enough, Mr. Speaker, to just summarize in terms of it's not its function. We are one government. And then there needs to be a responsibility that your office needs to take so as to ensure these monies reach the 33 counties. And at the same time, even if there are no plans by the government to expand, it's good because as Kenya Kwanza, I know we are honest in terms of saying the factual, yes, so that we don't give false hopes, it's fine. But as far as those 33 are concerned, what is the status of the 425 million?
Madam CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, responding to the question again by Senator Mutinda, my ministry, yes, handed over public libraries to 33 counties. However, there is a need to upgrade the existing services to fit into the envisaged county government status and people's expectations. What my ministry did, since library function is a devolved function, the ministry did submit a proposal to IGRTC for onward submission to the summit for consideration of allocation of a ring-fenced conditional grant to facilitate establishment of libraries in the 14 counties without public libraries. On the disbursement of the 435 million was released to the same counties that these are the 33 counties which we handed over the public libraries to, because it is clear that money follows function. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, my screen here has several senators. Now, because I can see it's the same ranking as the other debate, we end the motion. I don't know whether still you want to, as it is, want to give your supplementary questions. Matilda, you are to get 2 questions, but you are now comfortable with the one you requested. So let us have, I can see Mungatana again. Boy Juma. Is it on this? Maybe kindly then you log out so that I can see exactly who are interested to ask the supplementary questions. Senator Sosi, can you kindly clear the screen? Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I want to concur with Senator Mutinda that the Cabinet Secretary is not giving this House sufficient information regarding this question. Because, yes, we know that library services is devolved, but we also know that library services, though it's devolved, is one of those functions which have not been fully transferred to the counties. And that the only attempt that was done was to release that 400 million plus conditional grants, but is largely not transferred. And as he rightly say, that money follows functions. So she needs to come to this House and give a comprehensive response to this question. And not just for Kirinyaga, for the other counties as well. Because we are having a scenario where for functions which are devolved, most of them are still, money-wise, they are still being managed at the national level. And then every time cabinet secretaries come here, they hide behind the issue that this is a devolved function. But the money is still held up there. So I think the cabinet secretary who I served with in the National Assembly must tell this House the details around the provision of library services and the monies that the national government is controlling on this. Because conditional grants that was given was too little, too late. So I think this House deserves a proper and detailed answer from the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I said earlier, it's true that money follows function. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say that from our ministry or from my ministry, it's true that the monies were transferred to the fullest to all the 33 counties that the libraries were transferred to. So that is the whole truth, Mr. Speaker, that we do not hold any monies for the 33 libraries, the 423 million.
Senator Mandago Jackson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, libraries is a devolved function. I served in a county that had a library, and the library was devolved to counties. Honorable Speaker, once our function is devolved, if the libraries were not developed in all the counties, and it's the feeling of this House that we should have at least a library in every county, then the only remedy to that, Honorable Speaker, is to ask for conditional allocation for development of those libraries, just the way some counties were given funds to develop county assemblies and also county headquarters. Otherwise, as is, Honorable Speaker, the function is devolved, and I think the CS is just shooting straight to the answer instead of so many sentences and still lying on the same thing. My supplementary question to the Honorable Cabinet Secretary then, if you say that libraries were devolved, how comes then that the only national library in Nairobi in Upper Hill was retained by national government? You should therefore, after this sitting, consequently go and gazette the transfer of that library to Nairobi City County. As for the other libraries, unless we do conditional allocation of grants for development, then the Cabinet Secretary will have nothing else to do. And since also Cabinet Secretaries are not responsible for allocation of resources, we cannot ask her that she's remaining with a lot of money in the ministries as a National Assembly to actually address that matter, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Madam CS. A few more questions, maybe it will save some time. Senator Maruma Jones.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa hii fursa ili kuuliza swali la ziada kwa Mheshimiwa Waziri Aisha Jumwa. Na kwanza nimpe kongole kwa sababu ni wakati wake wa kwanza kuja katika hili bunge la Seneti, ya kwamba tunakutakia mema katika utendakazi wako, dada yetu, katika hii wizara yako. Mheshimiwa Spika, nilikuwa na swali kuhusu wafanyikazi wa maktaba, kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Spika, kabla ya maktaba kugatuliwa, kuna pesa zilitoka za kuongezea mishahara wafanyikazi wa maktaba, na hizo pesa hazikutumika kuwapandisha vyeo na kubadilisha mishahara ya hawa wafanyikazi ambao wanafanya kazi katika maktaba. Wale wafanyikazi waligatuliwa wakati wa kugatua maktaba, na ile pesa inasemekana kwamba haikutumika kuwapandisha vyeo wale wafanyikazi. Swali langu Mheshimiwa Spika ni je, na sijui kama huyo mkurugenzi wa maktaba yuko hapo, swali langu ni je, hao wafanyikazi watapata pesa zao? Watapandishwa vyeo? Kwa sababu wengi wao walifanya miaka 10, miaka 15 bila kupandishwa vyeo, na wakati wao wa kupandishwa vyeo ulipofika, maktaba iligatuliwa na hiyo pesa haieleweki pale ilienda. Niko na swali ama statement ambayo niliibua katika hii bunge na bado mpaka saa hizi Mheshimiwa Spika haijajibiwa. Labda waziri achukue hii fursa kujibu hilo swali. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Hebu jibu hayo maswali mawili kwanza ndio tuendelee waziri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Swali la seneta wa Taita Taveta. Kwanza mkurugenzi wa maktaba hayupo, ako kule Pwani katika warsha.
Tena usisumbuke sababu tulikuwa tunahitaji waziri, sio huyo mkurugenzi wa maktaba. Kwa hivyo waziri kama hako anajibu kila kitu, yako sawa kabisa.
Aya, asante. Masuala ya pesa za mishahara za wafanyikazi wa maktaba, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba katika zile maktaba ambazo zilikuwa devolved ama tulizipeana katika zile gatuzi, ni kwamba tulipeana wafanyikazi na pia tukapeana bajeti ambayo inasimamia wafanyikazi hao katika zile kaunti 33. Na jambo ambalo mheshimiwa amelizungumza, huo ndio ushahidi ambao naweza kupeana kufikia sasa, ama maelezo ambayo naweza kuyapeana kufikia sasa. And the question from Honorable Senator Mandago as to why the National Library or Maktaba Kuu is still withheld at the national level. Mr. Speaker, this is the practice even in the best devolved countries, such as United Kingdoms. And each country has a national library to serve as a repository of national reference materials and issuance of ISBN number. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Lekina Rendama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me begin first of all by appreciating the candidness of the Cabinet Secretary. Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary went straight to the point and said there are no plans. But I wish that she had read her entire response, because then it would have made a lot of sense. Because in her entire response, she has given mitigating factors of how this problem can be resolved. And I don't know whether, Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet, even before I ask my supplementary question, for the purpose of the Hansard, and given that this question was asked by a colleague who is not here, just getting a response that says that it's devolved and the ministry has got no plan is a bit limiting. So, Mr. Speaker, one of my requests is that since the Cabinet Secretary had taken time to write a very detailed response, that when anyone listens to it will see that even if the function has been devolved, there are at least efforts that are being put. Having said that, and I'll leave that to you, Mr. Speaker, my question to the Cabinet Secretary has got to do with the issue of culture, heritage. Are there any plans by the ministry to set up cultures and heritage centers across the 47 counties? I was the first person to build a library in Narok County, but later on it was passed on to the ministry. But in terms of culture, I know in Narok County we had a National Museum Center. Are there any plans to be able to build this, fund them, and on each financial year, can the minister be able to tell us how much money is planned to be invested in such ventures? Because when I read from the headline, it says Ministry of Gender, Culture, the Arts and Heritage. But then when I go to the Constitution, library services were devolved. So I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna.
Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza niseme kwamba wanasema mgala muue lakini haki umpe. Nataka niseme nimefurahia sana kusikia waziri mmoja wa serikali hii akikiri kwamba kuna mambo ambaye ni ya ugatuzi ambaye serikali kuu haifai kuhusika, lakini kuna yale ambaye yanahusika na masuala ya serikali kuu. Ni waziri wa kwanza katika serikali hii ya Kenya Kwanza ambaye nimemsikia akisema hayo. Na imenishangaza kwa njia nzuri, kwa sababu mara nyingi kunaletwa miswada katika bunge hili ambayo haina lolote kufanya na serikali kuu, lakini pale mwisho naye amejikanganya. Kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Spika, kama ni kweli hizi libraries zimegatuliwa ama zinafaa kusimamiwa na serikali za county, hiyo library ambayo iko katika kaunti ya Nairobi pale Upper Hill, jibu ambalo Mheshimiwa Waziri amelitoa halijaniridhisha hata kidogo Mheshimiwa, kwa sababu alivyosema yeye kwamba kunahitajika pahali kuwekwe stakabadhi muhimu za kiserikali ambazo ni za kihistoria. Ndio kwa maana tuna ile National Archives, Mheshimiwa Speaker, ili kuweka serikali zile stakabadhi za kiserikali ambazo zinaweza kutumika kama references wakati ambapo masuala ya kitaifa yanajadiliwa. Kwa hivyo mimi bado sijaridhika Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni lazima jinsi ambavyo waziri amekiri kwamba huduma za maktaba zimegatuliwa, hiyo maktaba iliyoko Upper Hill iwekwe chini ya kaunti ya Nairobi. Hamna sababu yoyote, na kama kweli anaamini kila alichosema atuhakikishie na hakikishie watu wa Nairobi kwamba wiki hii hiyo maktaba itawekwa kwa mikono ya serikali ya kaunti ya Nairobi. Nakushukuru Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Waziri, kunayo maswali mawili, one from Senator Lekina and the other one from Senator for Nairobi County, Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, responding to Senator for Narok, Honorable Oledama, I want to say that we shall revert on that response regarding cultural centers. Yes.
Rendama Olekina.
Yeah, asante, Bwana Speaker.
Malizie jibu, then tutarudi kwako.
Nimemaliza, Mr. Speaker.
The other question from the Nairobi Senator. Yeah, she'll give you a comprehensive report on the culture issues. Yeah. But Senator Sifuna, you know your answer was given again that, but also you are not satisfied. That's what you said. You are not satisfied. Can you satisfy Senator Sifuna on his question about the Nairobi?
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker. Mheshimiwa Senator wa Nairobi, Mheshimiwa Sifuna. Asante. Na sisi pia wakati mwingine tunaelewa majukumu ya serikali kuu na serikali za ugatuzi, na ukweli ni ukweli, hauwezi kubadilika. Kwa hivyo ndivyo ilivyo. Lakini kwa maktaba kuu ambayo ofisi yangu iko pale kama waziri wa agenda, utamaduni na turathi za kitaifa, nataka niseme ya kwamba tumekuwa na mazungumzo ya kutosha na ya kina pamoja na Council of Governors, na tuna makubaliano ambao tunaenda kuafikiana kwa sababu ya yale niliyotangulia kuyasema kwanza kwamba maktaba kuu za kitaifa zinahifadhi kumbukumbu nyingi za masuala ya kitaifa. Kwa hivyo kwanza ziko 3, si hii tu peke yake ya ile maktaba kuu peke yake. Hapa Nairobi tuko na maktaba kuu, tuko na Buruburu na tuko na Nakuru County ambazo bado ziko katika mikono ya serikali kuu chini ya wizara hii ya Gender, Culture, the Arts and Heritage. Kwa hivyo mazungumzo bado yanaendelea. Leo siwezi nikakupa jibu mwafaka ya kwamba wiki ijayo tutaenda kuachilia huduma hii muhimu iwe katika mikono ya county government ya Nairobi. Lakini punde tu tutakapoafikiana, labda nitarudi hapa kuwapa ripoti kamili. Asante.
Hiyo ni sawa. Sasa then Senator Baz Sheikh Mohamed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to ask the Waziri, you know, as she rightly said, the function is developed, but the money has not been following for the function, especially as the chair of the evolution, where the employees have been experiencing salary problems. And it's only this financial year that the fund was released, but it's not completely released. It is only partly released. So I want to ask the Waziri, one other thing is, Honorable Speaker, before I ask her the question, actually, the situations in the libraries is actually a pathetic situation. Most of the libraries in the counties are not well equipped. They are poorly staffed. So I wanted to ask, now that the functions are devolved and the county don't have the money for those, for the libraries, the books are not even there, and actually it's the right of every Kenyan to have knowledge and acquire knowledge from those libraries. Is there any plan for the National Library to release books or to keep those libraries? Are there, because most of the staff have not even reported up to now, especially in my place. And therefore, I was asking the Waziri whether all the staffs have been released, or they're still remaining. Some of them are still in national government. Two, whether there's any plan. You know, in the past, we used to have even mobile libraries. I can remember even in my place, we used to use camels to take the books to the far-fetched areas in the pastoral areas. But that thing is not there anymore. So what are the plans for the mobile libraries? Is it the mobile labs, libraries devolved, or is still there? And is there more plans to release more librarians to the counties? Thank you.
Senator John Deritu.
Asante Bwana Spika, langu ni swali tu kuuliza ikiwa ndio nimemsikia waziri akisema ya kwamba kuna zile maktaba ambazo ni za kitaifa na akazitaja ni takriban 3. Zangu ni kuuliza zile zingine ambazo ziko katika gatuzi zetu wanazisaidia vipi kama serikali kuu, kwa sababu kitambo maktaba hizi zilikuweko lakini bado zilikuwa zinapata usaidizi kutoka kwa serikali kuu. Usaidizi wa serikali kuu tayari wameleta hela katika kaunti zetu ama hela bado ziko katika serikali kuu? Asante Bwana Spika.
Waziri.
Asante sana Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, kwa kweli nafikiri tu nimejieleza sana kuhusu masuala haya ya kwamba tumegatua pia masuala haya ya maktaba, na sisi kama serikali kuu tulifanya jukumu letu baada ya kugatua hizi maktaba kwa gatuzi zile ambazo tulipeleka kila kitu, wafanyikazi na bajeti. Sasa nafikiri management na ni vipi serikali inasaidia ya kitaifa. Nafikiri jukumu hilo mimi ningesema ya kwamba ni lenu nyinyi sasa wabunge, kuhakikisha ya kwamba zile pesa ambazo mnazigawa hapa kwenda kwa county, then zile county za kule chini, zile bunge za kule mashinani ama county assemblies, nafikiri mna sauti kubwa zaidi kuhakikisha ya kwamba pesa zaidi zimewekwa katika kumanage zile libraries kule chini mashinani. Asante sana Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mwaruma, you have approached me that you are not satisfied with your question. Which part of it are you not comfortable with?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I'm actually not satisfied by the response that was given by the CS about the money for promotions of the employees who are working for the Kenya National Library Services. And Mr. Speaker, this is a question that came from a union that represents the employees working for Kenya National Library Services. And they did indicate that there was money that was released to the department in the ministry in charge of Kenya National Library Services, which was meant to promote the employees. Mr. Speaker, that money was released before the unbundling of library services. Now, these employees were supposed to be promoted. But because the services were unbundled before they were promoted, the employees do not know what became of the money that was meant to promote them. So now they have gone to the counties before they are promoted, and they're asking what happens to that money. If they, I told Mr. Speaker, they have been promoted.
Senator Maluma, let me assist you.
Yes, please.
Because you mentioned that you have a statement on this matter. So I request that maybe the committee involved to expedite your statement so that she can have time, because that is really a substantial matter. She can get time, the CS can get time to reply to a statement substantively.
Well,
I think that is the best way to go. But now we did I direct that the chair concerned. Which committee did you refer the question to?
I think labor or something.
Yeah, maybe check, and then we have directed that they should really expedite.
Yeah, so that we get to know if the employees really were promoted.
Yes, yes.
Then we get the names of the employees that were promoted, from which grade up to which grade, and how the remuneration changed.
Thank you,
Well guided, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, because you cannot get such an answer maybe at this juncture from the CS. So I've then guided you in that manner. Last, but not the least, the Senator Abdullahi Milaj, you want to give vote of thanks?
Asante mwenyekiti, asante Spika, na nipende pia mimi kumkaribisha waziri, na nipende kujulisha bunge la seneti ya kwamba katika kamati yetu ya leba tuko na mapendekezo ya mswada wa usimamizi na ni jinsi gani usimamizi wa hizi libraries zitakuwa zinasimamiwa maktaba zetu, na mswada huu umependekezwa na Senator Commissioner Madam Joyce Korir. Labda baada ya kujulishwa kwamba function hii imeweza kugatuliwa kwa gatuzi zetu, ni muhimu sana waziri, na hili ni ombi kwa sababu umejieleza vizuri ya kwamba usimamizi wote pamoja na rasilimali za kusimamia maktaba hizi umeenda katika gatuzi. Ni muhimu kama serikali kuu muweze kuangalia, kwa sababu maktaba hizi zimebaki kama mahame. Moja yetu kama pale katika gatuzi ya Mombasa imechoka sana, hata vitabu vilivyoko pale vimechoka. Ili tu tusikwepe majukumu kwa kusema kwamba yamegatuliwa, tuweze tu kushirikiana na magavana kuona ya kwamba mantiki na malengo ambayo yalikuwa yamelengwa kwa maktaba yale yaweze kuafikiwa, yaweze kuboreshwa maktaba yale, na kila ambacho kinaendelea katika maktaba yale yawe ni yenye kumfaidi Mkenya, kwa sababu wengi wataona ni kana kwamba sasa kuna kirba goji kirba ya kwamba majukumu yameenda huku yamerudi huku. Kile ambacho cha zaidi mwananchi anahitaji ni huduma nzuri katika hizi taasisi tunapozipitia. Na pia kama alivyotangulia kusema Bwana Spika, niweze kutoa vote of thanks, niweze kusema shukrani kwa waziri kuweza kufika. Asante sana.
Yours was just a comment. So I want to close with Senator Wakilifi, Sewa Mazayo, Minority Leader.
Asante Bwana Spika. Asante sana Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nataka kuchukua nafasi hii pengine kama seneta wa Kilifi, nikijua kwamba waziri aliyeko ndani ya bunge la Senate ni dada kutoka Kilifi, na kwa mara ya kwanza mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa sijampatia kongole, lakini sasa nataka kumpatia kongole rasmi kama seneta wa Kilifi kwa vile alichaguliwa kuwa waziri wa Gender, Culture, the Arts and Heritage. Kwa hiyo hiyo ni nafasi kubwa ambao watu wa Kilifi waliweza kupewa. Naweza kumshukuru sana rais kwa kumchagua dadangu Aisha Jumwa. Najua tumetoka naye mbali, alikuwa women rep, akaja akakuwa MP. Sasa mambo mingi amekuwa akifanya. Kwa hiyo yeye najua kazi hii anaiweza sana kwa vile ametumia ujasiri kujibu maswali. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Asante kiongozi wa wachache. Kwa hivyo waziri, tunakushukuru sana kwa kufika hapa Seneti, na tunakuomba mara ukiitwa hapa, unajua hii ni nyumba ya watu wamekomaa, hawana mambo mengi. Usiwe na shaka kufika hapa. Hata kama hujaitwa, saa nyingine unakuja mwenyewe kutusalimia. Kwa hivyo nakushukuru na heri njema katika wizara, katika kazi unayoifanya. Asante sana. So we go on back now to the business we had. Senator Mandago, you can proceed with the bill on pending bills, the motion on pending bills.
Order number 9, motion, status of pending bills in counties.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I had reason to support the motion by Senator Ledamo Lekina. And particularly of interest, Senator Speaker, are the pending bills in counties. And my submission to this House, Honorable Speaker, is that in the budget-making process of 2024-25 financial year by our county governments, Honorable Speaker, that the...
Senator Mandago, you have 14 minutes.
Thank you. That in the budget-making process of the financial year 2024-2025 financial year, Honorable Speaker, by our county governments, that the controller of budget ensures that all county governments' budgets for all pending bills that have been verified and ascertained that they are due for payment to the suppliers and contractors in counties. Honorable Speaker, the second matter on that motion, Honorable Speaker, is the misappropriation of funds where funds have been requested for payments to particular services or contractors, but as funds hit the county accounts, they've been diverted to pay for other services that had not been requested for and approved by the Controller of Budget. Honorable Speaker, in this motion, the Controller of Budget should then be asked to ensure that all pending bills subsequently in the new budget are paid before any other funds are dispersed to any county. Honorable Speaker, these pending bills have not only killed enterprises, but they have killed employment opportunities to the many young people this country have who are trained, qualified, and able to work, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the private sector collaborates with government in creation of employment opportunities. And therefore, county governments can then not become the agents of killing those enterprises and killing the dreams of young Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, the other matter that we need addressed through this motion is the issue of multi-year projects, Honorable Speaker, that run in counties. And because of transition, Honorable Speaker, the new administrations through supplementary budgets transfer the monies meant for those projects, stalling the projects, creating pending bills, and wastage of public resources because those facilities are then not completed for purposes that were intended for. Honorable Speaker, all projects are subject to public participation in the establishment. They are subject to being budgeted for, and therefore, when supplementary budgets are being passed, we would like to ask the Controller of Budget to ensure that ongoing projects funds are not transferred to new projects, causing the old projects to stall and therefore creating wastage of public resources. Honorable Speaker, this House in the near future must also address the issue of transitions of county governments, Honorable Speaker. We were in Nyandarua County the other day, Honorable Speaker, accompanying the distinguished senator of Nyandarua during the county address. Under the county headquarters of Nyandarua, Honorable Speaker, we found a county headquarters that was started more than 10 years ago. It was not completed because administration that followed decided to abandon those projects. It is now that the current governor of Nyandarua is completing projects that otherwise would have been completed much earlier, denying the people of Nyandarua services that they would have been served with, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, the controller of budget and our officers must have a keen eye on all supplementary budgets being done by counties, particularly the ones that transfer funds from one project to new projects. And Honorable Speaker, the control measures that ensures that a project that was not budgeted for should not be introduced in the middle of financial year should be enhanced. I don't understand how new projects crop up in the middle of the financial year that didn't have budgets in the first place. This is rebudgeting within a budget without approval, without public participation, and therefore creating wastage in terms of stalled projects and ballooning the pending bills, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the other area, the control of budget, must be keen, and I think this House must review, in terms of the formula for allocation of resources, the requirement for increase of on-source revenue, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, a majority of counties are not being honest in the capacity and the resources available to be generated through on-source revenue. Honorable Speaker, counties that are honest have suffered the consequences of getting less resources because of that factor of increase in on-source revenue. That factor, Honorable Speaker, doesn't have any scientific measure for measuring. Honorable Speaker, I remember in the second term, Honorable Speaker, a county would get an increase of 600 million for just increasing revenue by 10, 40, 50 million. Compared to what they had projected, Honorable Speaker, then the percentage would look big and they would get additional resources, and yet they have no capacity to raise those resources. Controller of budget must interrogate the on-source revenue figures being given during budget making process to ensure that counties are not spending money they will not be able to raise. These spending bills has become a very, very bad practice in county governments and even national government, but we want to thank the President. In the national government, resources have been set aside. A pending bills committee is working to ensure that only verifiable and payable pending bills are paid so that enterprises and business people can go back to business, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I wish to agree with the Senator for Marsabit, because if when you delay paying your taxes, there is a penalty and there is no room for negotiation. Consequently, when government, either county or national government, delays in paying our suppliers, Honorable Speaker, then the penalty accruing from delayed payments must also be paid. It cannot be, it is good when citizens are paying penalties, and when government is supposed to pay the penalties, there is a problem. Honorable Speaker, these business people have suffered for many years because of not paying their bills. I support that they should be given some form of compensation for the delay of payment. Honorable Speaker, in order to avoid the issue of pending bills, the controller of budget in approval of release of funds, because it's based on certificates and minutes of receiving goods or services or completion, Honorable Speaker, from the date the certificate is received and authorized by the county. That should be the time that bill is due, and as per the contract clauses, whatever period of time is required to be paid within, then those contracts or services that have been rendered must be paid for. This is the only way, Honorable Speaker, we are going to grow the private sector. We are going to create employment, because government alone cannot be able to address the issue of employment. Honorable Speaker, this administration is very keen in supporting young people to innovate, particularly using technology, Honorable Speaker. And that is why national government has rolled out a digital economy that is very vibrant by establishing and installing all the fiber networks across the country so that internet can be available. When these young innovators come to the platform where they are now able to do business with government, it cannot be then that county governments or government agencies and sagas are the ones killing the innovation by not paying for the services that have been rendered by these young people, Honorable Speaker. That will be negating on what government is doing in ensuring that our young people take advantage of the digital space and the digital economy to also innovate further and earn themselves decent livelihoods, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I therefore agree with my colleagues that the controller of budget is in a better position to ensure there is prudence, there is no misappropriation of resources, and Honorable Speaker, as this motion will be concluded, we should ask the controller of budget to submit to this House a report of every county of the payments that have been requested and what has been paid for, so that we can ascertain with certainty how much of the funds that have been released meant for payment to suppliers, specific suppliers and contractors, have been misappropriated in paying contractors whose payments had not been approved by the controller of budget, and what measures the controller of budget is putting in place to ensure that those whose payments have not been certified for payment are not paid. Honorable Speaker, there is need for integration of the system of the controller of budget to IFMIS to enable, and the Treasury and the County Treasury, Honorable Speaker, to enable the controller of budget to be able to monitor real time, to check the payments, and even stop payments for suppliers and contractors whose payments had not been approved by the controller of budget. That way, Honorable Speaker, our counties will be prudent and our suppliers will be able to thrive. Private sector will be able to continue creating employment and supporting government programs of creating employment for the many young people in the country. And we shall have a vibrant private sector, Honorable Speaker, that will then improve our business environment, attract more investors into this country and into this region and to our counties to be able to do business with counties. Where we have reached, Honorable Speaker, there are very few counties whose contract banks can afford to give loans to the suppliers. I therefore, Honorable Speaker, support this motion and say the controller of budget must have a very keen eye in making sure that we don't continue creating pending bills. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Miracle Senator Karungo Dangwa Paul.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to also weigh in on this issue of pending bills. And for sure, we have discussed this issue on numerous occasions on the floor of this House. And from the onset, Mr. Speaker, it is time for this House to stamp its feet and to make sure that we help the county governments to reduce these pending bills by coming up with solutions, of course, sanctions, and calling those who are not paying this amount, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I was in Kiambu County, and I was leading a delegation that was led by Senator Mandago. I was leading them, though they were led by Senator Mandago, the Committee of Health, to visit the Kiambu Referral Hospital. And at the same time, Mr. Speaker, we happened to interact with people. We even went to visit the governor of Kiambu County at his headquarters. And it caused a lot of excitement, Mr. Speaker, because when a senator was seen handshaking the governor, it caused a bit of excitement, Mr. Speaker. Just like an uncle, when an uncle used to visit us when we were young, we'll go to the whole village saying an uncle is here, he has come to see us, and he has brought a few presents. But if you misbehaved, the same uncle would remove his belt and whip you. So this is just to tell those who are excited, it was just a visit, and I'm back at work to make sure that I'm oversighting the same county governor. Mr. Speaker, the issue of pending bills, some of them is self-inflicted. The county governments are not paying the workers. That is the wage bill they're talking about. They're saying the wage bill is way high. But it is not that the wage bill is high. It's because they are not paying workers on time. Yesterday in Kiambu Hospital, we were told, Mr. Speaker, that the casuals, the hospital casuals, what we call subordinate staff, the cleaners, the kitchen people, they have not been paid by the county government of Kiambu for the last 6 months. and somebody is in the hospital working for the patients and trying to save lives, and is working at the hospital and has not been paid for the last 6 months, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether we can call that also pending bills. Do we call it a wage bill that has been delayed? Do we say salaries that has not been paid, Mr. Speaker? And having said that, Mr. Speaker, these are parents. They have children. Their children are going to school. And the county government of Kiambu is not paying their salaries on time, Madam Speaker. And, you know, when I was in high school, Mr. Speaker, sorry, when I was in high school, one of the set books that we did was the government inspector. And the government inspector, when he wanted to visit a certain city, he announced. And after announcing that he's coming, the children were cleaned, they were given good clothes, the mayor had prepared his officers, and that is what happened yesterday when the Committee of Health visited Kiambu County, Kiambu Referral Hospital. They announced they are going. So the patients were cleaned, the bed sheets were cleaned. So we were only shown the best part, Mr. Speaker. And I would want to urge the Committee of Health, next time don't announce, do an impromptu visit so that you can see the real picture and talk to those people. There was a certain woman who was trying to talk to me, Mr. Speaker, and she could be barred from speaking to me because they did not want the chairman of the health committee to understand a cleaner picture of that hospital from that perspective, Mr. Speaker. On the issue of pending bills, why do we have pending bills, Mr. Speaker? We have pending bills because the governors over-project their own source revenue. And I'll be bringing a statement tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, because we have to investigate the budgeting process of Kiambu County, Mr. Speaker, because we want to understand the wisdom behind over-projecting your own source revenue by over 300%. Kiambu County used to collect about 3 billion, but the current governor, with his wisdom and magic, he thinks that he can collect 9 billion within a period of 1 year, Mr. Speaker. And since it was put in the budget, of course, what they are going to do, Mr. Speaker, they overspend what they don't have. So that is more pending bills created on top of the 5.7 billion that the county government owes the people of Kiambu, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, the contractors are suffering. The Kiambu service providers are suffering, Mr. Speaker. And you know the court said that any contractor or anybody who is owed any amount by the county government can auction county properties. Mr. Speaker.
Takarungo, you'll have your 9 minutes next time. Maybe today afternoon, so you shouldn't be around. So, honorable senators, it is now 1 p.m., time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate, therefore, stands adjourned until today, Wednesday, 24th April 2024, at 2:30 p.m.